Our world has countless stories and tales, some so ancient and faith-based they have become myths. But folk tales are somewhat different. They exist vaguely nearer to today than the myths of old. They were always once upon a time, not inherently a long, long time ago. And they were rarely speak of when the earth was young. They focus regularly on folks dealing with witches, magic, and beast, rather than gods and demigods. Mountains rarely are moved. Not that it's impossible in folk tales, of course, but it's rarer. So let's dive into a local legend, a folklore, if you will. This one comes from Finland, though I have it from an anthology and it's been translated to English. So if somehow there are any Finnish people out there watching this, feel free to add context or the real version in the comments below. I'll pin it. The entire point of this channel is to shed light on things like that, the lesser known, the obscure. So please, if there is anyone Finnish that's watching this and you've heard this story before, what's the real Finnish version? Let's dig in. The tale begins as many do. There was once a farmer who had 3 sons, and when they got to adulthood, the farmer reached out to them and said, "Boys, it's time you go and get yourselves married. Tomorrow you go and find yourselves a bride." The sons clearly objected to this, not even knowing where to look, but the farmer in his infinite wisdom had come up with an idea. "Go out into the forest and cut down a tree, each of you. The direction it falls is the way you follow to find your wife-to-be." The boys agreed, and the next morning they headed out. The oldest son went out and hacked down a tree. It snapped and fell, its top pointing to the north. That was very good, because due north of their farm was another one, where a pretty girl lived. The middle brother chopped down his tree, and it fell down, its tip pointing south. He too was pleased. South of the family farm was another farm, where a cute girl he danced with once lived. The youngest son, however, chopped down his tree, and it fell further into the forest. His name was Viekko. Seeing this, his brothers taunted him profusely. "What, Viekko? Are you gonna go marry a wolf girl or a fox girl?" they teased, which, to be fair, wolf girl, waifu, sounds like a win to me, but I digress, because obviously they're referring to like an actual female wolf and not a hot wolf chick, but, each their own. Despite this teasing, Viekko nodded and resolutely decided to head into the woods to wherever the tree pointed, whilst his brothers went to make their case to the girls at the farms north and south. As Viekko wandered into the woods, he found a small hut, fit for one person, and he entered it. It was well kept and clean, but no one seemed to be in there except for a little mouse sitting on the table, tending to itself. Bummed, he said there was no one there, only for the mouse to speak up and say, "Hey, I'm here! What else are you looking for?" Viekko answered he was looking for a wife, and she was just a little mouse. She answered to take her as his wife. Though she may be a mouse, there's no one else that would love him and care for him so much. And then she proceeded to sing a beautiful song, convincing him to take her as his sweetheart. His heart melted, and he agreed and returned home. Then his brothers boasted loudly of their wives-to-be, and teased Viekko again, bringing up that his sweetheart must have extra sharp teeth or pointed ears. He responded that she was soft and dainty and covered in velvet and furs. The stunned brothers were flabbergasted. What did he find? A princess? Then came the father's request to test if they would be good housewives. "Have them bake a loaf of bread and return here." So the 3 sons went out, Viekko all the while wondering if a little mouse could make a loaf of bread. The elder brothers went and got their bread, and Viekko asked his little mouse if she could bake, doubtful in her abilities. She replied, "Of course I can!" And with the chime of a silver bell came the sound of hundreds of scurrying feet, followed by a horde of mice bringing flour to bake with. And in no time, he had a loaf of white bread, and was heading back. His oldest brother presented rye, his elder brother barley, and him white bread. This white bread was immaculate and awe-inspiring, truly fit for a noble. And when he asked, he merely explained that she rang a little bell and her servants came with grain. She baked the loaf. The next test was a textile, made to show their weaving abilities. Again, Viekko went to the woods where the lovely mouse had been waiting, and doubting her, asked if she could weave. Once more, the silver bell rang, and again the sound of 100 tiny feet scurrying about, awaiting orders. They brought forth the finest flax, and she weaved a sheer piece of linen, so fine that it could be folded and placed in a nutshell. He returned home and put his brother's brides-to-be to shame with the sheer quality of her work. Unfortunately, it was the next test that would be devastating. Well, they seem to pass the test pretty well. I want to meet your brides-to-be. Oh, crap. Viekko sighed. He loved the mouse. She was cute and adorable, but he knew his father and brothers would laugh it off. Yet, that would not stop him. He went to meet her and asked her to follow him home. She was happy. She rang the bell once more, and her little army of mice came. 5 of them, harnessing themselves to a small carriage made out of a nutshell. And she rode within. Her heart fluttered with glee as the sheer love of the young man had caused her to move, and she was more than ready to face his father with him. Yet just as they left the forest, a man came, and seeing the mouse-drawn carriage and Viekko's admittance that it was his sweetheart, took the cart and threw it into the river. The mouse princess and her carrying steeds, mice, drawing it, were drowned. Viekko's heart shattered. "You just drowned my sweetheart!" he shouted, and the man, seeing the sheer insanity, or believed insanity of Viekko, quickly fled. The young man was genuinely mournful. He had promised his father his bride-to-be. He had promised his father would get the chance to meet her. And now she was dead. His head was heavy, as was his heart, and he kept walking home. When, beside him, a royal carriage rolled up, pulled by 5 black steeds, a driver on the front and a footman sitting on the back. Within, a beautiful woman, fair white skin and rosy cheeks and golden hair decked out in jewels and lace and velvet. She spoke to him, asking him to sit, much to his surprise. This, the most beautiful woman in the world, asking him to come and sit with her. "Why, of course. You loved me as a mouse. I sure hope you would stay with me as a woman," she said. In shock, he replied, You are the mouse?" Indeed, she was cursed by a witch to be a mouse, and only cured by Viekko's love and faith in her, and the act of being killed by the man who cast her into the water. Overwhelmed, Viekko boarded the carriage. When they arrived, the mouse princess outshone either of his brother's cute wives-to-be and impressed his father to no end. And Viekko and his bride-to-be lived happily ever after. Well, my friends, like many folk tales, there's a little bit more to this. Beauty is so much more than skin deep, and a book should not be judged by its cover. As always, thanks for watching, stay hydrated, and be good people.